Welcome back to another episode of the Everything Transformers, Everything GIJOE Podcast. This is June's episode, and we're about to get right into it. So, you know what? As the podcast is still trying to find its foothold and where we are in the industry today, we're still trying to figure out our schedule. But you know what? This is going to be June's episode, and we'll expect another episode next month. I think what we're going to aim for is we're going to aim to do these in the middle of the month. So you'll see these around the 15th, that week of each month. Anyways, so let's get into it. And like always, we're going to start a little bit of housekeeping. I just gave you the schedule of what we can expect to see. Like we said we would do last time, we'll go over maybe some acquisitions that I've acquired for my collection and talk about that quickly and then move into the topics, which I do happen to have a lot of topics. So there's going to be a long video. It's just an excuse for me to ramble and to do a more long form video for you guys to listen to. And of course, as of right now, this is more of an audio podcast. So it's just, there's just not going to be much on the screen. It's just something for you to listen to if you're on the bus or you've got some free time, you're doing some housework, you're listening to me ramble. And, maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree what I'm talking about. But you know what? If you do, if you don't, please make sure, try to leave some comments in the comment section. Give me your opinions on some of the topics you've heard today. So let's get started. For acquisitions. Now, I think last time I already did sort of talk about the acquisition of the Fortress Headmaster KO from AliExpress. And that was something that, it popped up. I seen some videos on it, and the quality of the KO was supposed to be really high. So you know what? I took a chance. I ordered him from AliExpress. He was like $23 American, I think, or maybe it was $23 Canadian. Sorry, $23 Canadian, I think. And I have to say, I was truly impressed with the figure when it showed up. Didn't take too long to get here. And when it did show up, it was basically, it depends who you order from. And just quickly, a quick tip when you ever go to order, say, from AliExpress is, you're always going to find multiple stores selling the same products. And what you need to do, if you want to feel safe in what you're ordering and to guarantee you're going to get a quality product, I always highly recommend that you sort by showing the number of sales of that product that person has done. So, obviously I would probably avoid ordering from stores on AliExpress that only have like 1 or 2 sales, and probably gear myself towards ordering from stores that have 50, 60, 100 sales of that product that you're interested in getting. And so that's basically what I did with the Fortress KO. And so when it showed up, and then there's going to be varying different degrees of what you get with that. But basically what I got was a package wrapped in bubble wrap. Once I opened it, there was just a plastic clamshell and the Fortress KO was inside of it. And basically, it was packed like a figure without a box. So I was okay with that. I don't need a box for him. I just wanted the figure. Once I did get the figure, he comes with a this giant red sword. I know there's a name for it, but I don't have it on top of my head right now. Anyways, but the figure itself was really high quality. I mean, I have to be honest, I don't know if you had told me that it was a KO. If I didn't know it wasn't a KO, there was no difference in a regular Hasbro Transformer. It's really a little cool. I'm a fan of Headmasters. I enjoy the Japanese Headmasters cartoon. And, it was something I had all the Titan Returns Headmasters. So I wanted to make sure I got that Fortress to kind of complete the set. So if you guys are looking to get that, I would highly recommend it. It's very cool. It's something, different to add to your collection. So totally recommend, again, the Fortress KO from AliExpress. I didn't do a video on it. I felt that, I didn't think people would be wanted to see a video on it. If you do want to see a review on it, maybe leave some comments and maybe I'll get to it. But anyway, so highly recommend if you're looking for something to buy from AliExpress for pretty cheap. You can't beat $20 for a basic, pretty awesome figure. So next up. So I think like a lot of other people are out there, I wasn't prepared, or maybe I was, for how hard it was to get Transformers the movie 86 series Frenzy read. It's funny story to this is that basically I was away on a holiday a few months ago when he was just hitting the stores. I don't really think I knew how rare he was. I just happened to walk into a Walmart in the USA and he was there. And I was like, oh, cool, I should really get this because Rumble was really hard to get. So I'm sure Frenzy might be hard to get. So I had him in my cart and I was walking around the store and I was like doing the conversion in my head. What is this to American to Canadian? I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to pay this for this small of a figure. And long story short, I ended putting him back and not getting him. And I regretted it because then, of course, after I left the store, after I got home, it came out that he was super hard to get. He didn't really show up in Canada at all. And even the people in the United States, I have some friends, some American friends, they were having a difficult time getting him as well. So I was kind of kicking myself that, I didn't pick him up and I should have picked him up. And so basically, he wasn't available on Amazon. I couldn't find him on Walmart's website. He was not available in Canada for purchase. Some people had found him at GameStop, but that's still random. You got to find him at the random location when you walk in. So he was very hard to get. And so I just kind of chalked it up that I missed him. What I had done, I had added him to my wants list that I made public when I go, plan to go to TFcon in July. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll run across him at the convention and pick him up then. But luckily, about a couple of weeks ago, I just did a random lunch trip to Walmart, one of the local Walmarts around town. I just sometimes you have a feeling, a gut feeling that you're like, I'm going to find something today. I just happened to walk in to the toy section and lo and behold, there was a single Frenzy on the shelf just staring at me. And I was like, what? Are you serious? So he was a must get, he's hard to get. I still don't have a Rumble. And I figured, I can't pass up on Frenzy for a second time. So I made sure I picked him up. And you know what? I do have video content. I'll probably get a short up at some point to just, document the picking him up and just unpacking him, a little quick, super 60-second review for a short. So that'll be coming sometime in the future in the coming days or weeks. Anyways, so long story short, I'm happy. So I scratched him off my want list for TFcon. So I got Frenzy. He's on the pegboard wall for now that I've done a couple of videos on. So it's pretty cool. So other quick acquisitions, not Transformer or really GIJOE related, but one thing that I've sort of gotten into in the last 6 months is masks. And you know what? I've got a little healthy collection of mask stuff ongoing right now. And so the last couple of weeks ago, there was a Facebook Marketplace listing for a volcano vehicle. And you know what? The mask is interesting. They are, a lot of times they're not complete. But, mask is like G.I. Joe and Transformers. The pieces that you're missing are often very simple. And one thing that I'll discuss in a future podcast is I have a 3D printer and I do plan to print some of these pieces that I want for these Transformers or G.I. Joe vehicles or mask vehicles to complete them because they're only for my collection. It's not like I'm trying to complete them with the 3D printed pieces and then sell them, right? And pass them off as being complete. It's just for me. So that's something I'm going to look into and we'll talk about that more in a future podcast. But I picked up the volcano from Marketplace. It's in regular condition. It still splits apart. It seems to be really cool. So I picked it up. No figure, but a good, nice addition. Something else I made. It's been really dry at the few of the thrift stores that I visit during the week. And I haven't been able to pick up much. For a while there, I'm picking up a lot of Transformers, Generation 1 specific Transformers. And I haven't seen anything in a while. The only latest additions that I picked up, there was a bag of micro machines that had about, I'd say 15 or 20 micro machines in it. So I was like, oh, I can't pass up on this. I love 80s toys and 90s toys. So it's like I try to focus in and rein myself in and make sure I only pick up like the Transformers or G.I. Joe. But sometimes I'm like, and sometimes you're like, well, this is so cheap, I'll just add it to the trade pile because somebody else out there collects it for sure. And the 2 editions were like the 15 or 20 Micro Machines, which like they included like some motorcycles. I didn't even realize they made motorcycle Micro Machines. Anyways, so I picked up those. And then the latest thing, there was a 2-pack at the thrift store of some Starcom stuff, which is another one of those classic brands that, I'm sure other people collect out there. There was this Starhawk that was missing most of his pieces, but still worked. And then this other little vehicle, which I don't know the name of offhand, but it's missing some parts. So it might be worth some parts to somebody. But that's all for the acquisitions since the last time we chatted. Of course, there's been a million pre-orders for Transformers and G.I. Joes, which we'll talk about in a bit. But so that's pretty much for acquisitions. So let's get into this month's topics. And like I said, there are a few different topics here. So this podcast might be in the long bit, but you know what? Hopefully it's enjoyable and you like listening to me ramble. And basically, hopefully it's beneficial to you. Anyways, first up, let's talk about YoJoe June. So this is obviously, the G.I. Joe and the Transformers podcast. So we're going to bounce back and forth between G.I. Joe topics and Transformer topics. YoJoe June is specifically, obviously, G.I. Joe related. Heavily G.I. Joe classified related. And you know what? I think it kind of took me a little by surprise what they did this year. And maybe like compared to the previous years, I might have liked previous years a bit better. And the reason why I liked that was that it kind of took me by surprise when they kind of did a differently, where they came out the first week and they basically said, here's all our product. Here's the mainline releases, the retro releases, the Stinger release. And basically, here it is, and here you pre-order every week. There'll be different pre-orders. I was not sure if I was a fan of that because I think previously, like last year, they kind of like every week they did a live stream, and they're like, oh, by the way, here's more product. Here's more product. Here's more product. So even though, keep it with me here, keep it real. Even though in another video I had previously complained that they might need to tone down YoJoe June a bit because there was just so many pre-orders. I just think I liked it where they did the live streams every week and focus on those products that week, where the YoJoe June this year was, like just a big long event for that one stream. And they've kind of like checked in with us a couple times throughout the month just to say like, oh, here's the Dragonfly unboxing with a video. It's not a stream, it's just a video they've dropped during that week. So I think I liked it last year. But that being said, let's talk about the actual figures that they revealed. And just some of my insight on this. I didn't really do a video on this, but this is where this podcast comes in. You get my ramblings. Sometimes like you're stuck as a content creator where it's like, do I really want to make a full video dedicated to these topics? Or do I want to talk about them like this? And this is why I'm doing this as my platform where I can talk about these things. So YoJoe June, it was a really good event and they released some awesome figures. I do think maybe possibly the mainline wave just missed a little bit, just a little bit. Overall, it was really good. But so what did we get? We got Storm Shadow, the Iron Grenadier, you got the Iron Grenadier Bat, and you got Alpine. So that was the mainline 4 figures that were up for reveal. And so let's just go through those individually very quickly. So first of all, where we're going to start. Okay, let's start with the Bat. So the IG Bat, the Iron Grenadier Bat, that isn't for me. So I have this thing where, okay, let's back up for a second. I like the G.I. Joe Classified line because it for the most part, it is bringing a lot of the Real American Hero classic versions to modern, and they either give them like sort of like a modern touch and like update them, or B, they'll do like a 1-for-1, a Real American Hero version release. And now I'm not even talking about the retro release, but like, certain characters have been updated. Say like, let's for example, Rock and Roll has a very modern look in GIJOE Classified, where Shipwreck is basically a one-for-one of his A Real American Hero version. So like, there's kind of two different ways they go with. But one thing I'm not really a fan of, it's not really I don't like it, is that when they make things that like it didn't exist beforehand. So, and that's weird. That's just something on me. I've been like that throughout the 8 years or whatever. Like the Iron Grenadier bat never existed. It's not canon for me as a collector. So I have no need for it. So I'm just not interested in it. But I know for a fact there's a million troop builders out there that probably like ordered like 10 of them. And that's cool for them. It doesn't fit my collection. And so I wasn't interested in that. Moving on. The Iron Grenadier. I think I was worried when I seen it for the first time. There was pictures leaked. I'm pretty sure I posted them on the community channel page. And basically, it was kind of like distracting in the box where they have his like helmet on, but they don't have the top of his helmet on in the box. And it was kind of like, oh, what is this kind of mask he has on? It looks really different. And it actually, the mouthpiece reminds me of the Scout Trooper from Star Wars with the black line up and down. Anyways, he's one of my favorite characters, actually. But the Iron Grenadier, I think they nailed him. Once we got to see those final pictures of what he was going to look like, I think they did a really good job. He's got the little cape, which is a little different, the little skirt type thing. I think he came together very well, and I can totally see people out there pre-ordering like 5 or 10 of those guys to build an army. So that one is really cool. Now, on to the Joes. First up, you have Storm Shadow. And this is one, when I originally seen the photo, I was immediately disappointed in him. I'll be honest, the more I look at him, the more like he kind of grows on me. But I think for me, it's that little eye slit hole with his hood and his mask. I think it just looks weird. I think it looks off. And then some of the other finer details, he's not the Storm Shadow. I guess, you know what? It comes back to that. They didn't really do, in my opinion, the greatest job of bringing that Real American Hero version into the classified version. So I feel like they kind of like missed the modern look. And at the same time, they didn't do a good enough job with the Real American Hero 1-from-1 version. So there's just something about him. He's a little off for me. That being said, I did pre-order him. I need to see him in person before I make that final decision. So that's just my opinion on him. I feel that's going to be a very like decisive opinion. People might not agree, or they will agree with me. Feel free to leave your comments below. Now, the last one, Alpine. Alpine is unique. Originally, I even did a video on a prediction video, and I figured Alpine was going to be there. I mean, there was a leak list that came out, and we knew he was kind of coming. And I had high hopes for Alpine, but he didn't do it for me. And it's kind of weird, because if you look at the figure, it's a really well done figure. But I think my problem is it's a really well done figure, but it almost feels like it doesn't belong in the classified line. He doesn't look like a G.I. Joe. That's my problem. Really cool figure, really detailed, has a lot of cool accessories. Does he feel like a G.I. Joe? I don't know. And then I'm not really sold on him. So I think like he would be one that I would never pay full price for. But, you know, if it came down the line and he was on sale, I would probably pick him up at a later date. So that's just my opinion on him. So what do you think of these guys? Like, which one's your favorite? What one did they totally rock? And what one did they drop the ball on for you? Let me know in the comments. Now, so they moved on. They showed us the retro figures. And for me, my number one pre-order this month was the retro Cobra Commander. I wanted that guy since they showed him off with the HISS tank, the Haslab HISS tank, and I made sure I was on there. I was refreshing the page. As soon as he went live for a pre-order, I made sure I pre-order. I actually ordered 2, and I don't think I'll keep the extra one, but I ordered 2 because I was like, well, do I want to keep one mint on card, and do I want to open one and play with one and display it? Because I think they really nailed him, especially they added the backpack shield, the face shield. I think they did a really good job on him. He's a must get. And like he looks like he just stepped out of the cartoon. So I had to get him. The other two, the Cobra Trooper and Stalker, I did pre-order a Cobra Trooper for now, but I don't think I'll keep him. He's not really doing it for me. One thing I noticed, I actually made a comment about this on Twitter, or X as the kids call it. I noticed that the artwork on the card for the retro Cobra Trooper, like they obviously redid it, and it doesn't match up with the vintage, the version, and like it's been altered, and for some reason, like it looks like almost like cartoony, and it's really like, I don't know, there's something about it that's off for me, and that is super nitpicking, and I'm sorry about that, but so like for me, it doesn't hold that mint on card value because I don't like the artwork, so there's no point to get it. And then like people, I'm pretty sure I talked about this in another video. Like I was surprised it took so long to get a Cobra Trooper out there, because we haven't had a Cobra Trooper on the shelves since like Cobra Island or after Cobra Island released. So it's cool that a lot of people out there will be able to get affordable Cobra Troopers, but that one's not for me. The color is a little too blue. I guess they're going for that cartoony vibe. So I wasn't interested in it. I did pre-order it for now. I'll make a final decision later. But basically, he's cool, but necessarily not for me. And then Stalker looked good as well. I think they nailed the camo pattern on him. It's just that I already have the classified Stalker. I don't really need the retro Stalker to spend another, like $35 Canadian. So what's that, $25 American plus tax on him. So, I mean, I've mentioned before, I do my stuff on a budget. So he's not in my budget right now to purchase him. Once again, down the line, if he shows up for $20 or something like that, I'll probably pick him up. But I'm not going to pay full price for him at the moment. So I do enjoy the retro classified line. I think they're rocking it. And I think they're really hitting those nostalgia buttons because they're doing a really good job with it. So I'll look forward to further releases. And I actually, in my prediction video, I did pull out a few retro cards I do think we will expect to see in the coming months. Feel free to check that out to get those details of what my personal predictions of some of the figures we will see. Now, that video was obviously geared towards like what predictions we would see for YoJoe June, previously to YoJoe June starting, but it holds true to, like, I do think out of those figures I mentioned in that video, we will see them after YoJoe June as well. Like, we will see these ones coming fairly soon because they're logical choices. Anyways, I mean, YoJoe June isn't over yet, so maybe we'll see some name-only reveals at the next video they release. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, I do think you should check that video out and let me know what you think of my predictions. So that was YoJoe June. Actually, that's a lie. There's one more thing we have to talk about for YoJoe June. YoJoe June has the Cobra Stinger coming. We all knew it was coming. The moment the vamp was released, the Stinger was coming. They're going to repaint this thing a million times. And I didn't order a vamp, actually. I wasn't necessarily interested in the vamp. Clutch, I didn't like the figure that much. And I wanted the Stinger. And the main reason I wanted the Stinger was because I have a Dragonfly coming whenever that gets released. Of course, it was delayed. It was supposed to come out in the summer. Now it's going to come out in the fall. But that's what that was expected. But I have a Dragonfly coming, and I wanted to make sure I had something in the battle. So I made sure I held off on the vamp. I made sure I got the Stinger. The Stinger goes up for pre-order on Tuesday, June 18th. So I'm going to make sure I pre-order one, and that'll be my battle. I'll have the Stinger ground-to-air missiles versus my Dragonfly. And you know what? That's going to be my main classified battle for now. So until they release more vehicles, that's what I'm getting. So far I got the Trouble Bubble. I don't have a His Tank because it was really expensive back in the day. And so I have a Dragonfly and a Stinger, and I don't have the Ferret or the Tiger Paw coming either at the moment. But probably pick those up at a later time. I do want to get the HMS though at some point, the missile system, so the Stinger can tow it. So I have that on my want list. I'll find one eventually, I'm sure. So that was YoJoe June. Of course, we'll transition now to some Transformer talk. And basically, you know what? They had YoJoe June, but over the last few weeks, they've been slowly releasing more details on the next wave of Transformers United, Legacy United, over on Instagram, on some of their accounts. Mark Mayer, BMAC, they've posted some stuff. Basically, we got some really cool stuff, and I was really impressed because, you know what? I love Transformers. I'm heavy into Generation 1, and I was nice to see a lot of Generation 1 stuff revealed and put up for pre-order with this latest Transformer wave. And of course, the two top things, of course, I think a lot of people were surprised to actually see what that Generation 1 Optimus Prime deluxe figure looked like. And it's basically a slimmed down Missing Link. And for me, I didn't order Missing Link because I didn't want to spend that much money on stuff. But this is totally awesome. And I made sure I pre-ordered one. I cannot wait to get that Generation 1 toy version Optimus Prime in Deluxe Legacy United, because that is very, very, very cool. And I think it looks like they totally rocked it. And you know what? Maybe they'll do more of these in the future. Maybe this is what we can expect as Hasbro's version. You know, Takara obviously releases the Missing Link. They're die cast. They're really cool. They're really expensive. Maybe Hasbro has a deal and they're like, oh, by the way, okay, you get the exclusive. You do that for a few months, and then we're going to release our, quote unquote, plastic version of your same design to the casual crowd. And I'm cool with that because I like the price tag. I'm really impressed with that. I can't wait to get it. Of course, the big guy, the big one was Soundwave. The Netflix version came back, reissued with 3 of his minions and Buzzsaw making his debut. So that one, I'm sure, got pre-ordered a million times the moment it went live. And it looks like they totally rocked that one. We knew they were going to rock it. It's been in the leaked listings for a while. And even this one, the Soundwave and the Optimus Prime, it had me concerned because that leak list came out months ago. And, 2024 is the 40th anniversary of Transformers when Generation 1 started. And I was like, guys, when do we got to get these figures that we were supposed to get? So we're still waiting on a few things. And I just released another video about that. But, where's our retro reissue Bombshell and a retro reissue Generation 1 Optimus Prime that was leaked? We haven't seen those yet. They're supposed to be coming. Will there be an announcement soon? And, I just did a video on, where are the G.I. Joe Transformer crossover, those two that were previously revealed via leak. We haven't seen those yet as well. So there's a lot of Transformer stuff that's kind of missing in action right now, and hopefully it comes because 2024 doesn't have many months left to it. Anyways, and of course, back to the Legacy United wave, there was a lot more figures revealed. You had the Generation 1 Quake. He looks pretty cool. He's a double target master. He looked pretty cool. Not one that I would pay full price for. Once again, I have, you got the ones you pay full price for, and then you've got the ones that you're like, if that was on discount, I would pick it up. He's on that list for me. And of course, you had a couple more figures. Of course, there was a couple more figures. They had the Legacy Evolution Armada Universe Galvatron. That guy looks pretty cool. I think he got a little lost though, because I think a lot of people were going for the leader class Soundwave instead of him. Then as well, you had the Legacy United Metal Hawk, the toy version. I think that was a complete waste of plastic, basically. For me, Metal Hawk was a complete shelf warmer in my area. I'm not really sure why they released him. And then, of course, now the big one of the other big ones was the animated Motormaster. That guy is pretty cool, and if I was not a very, very tight budget, I would have totally picked him up. But right now, I skipped him for now, but I've got my eye on Motormaster. That guy is pretty cool. Transformers Animated is one of my favorite series, and like in my collection, I have basically all of the retail toys, and it's probably one of my best like completed collections. I'm not a completist, but I just, for some reason, I really have a lot of those figures. So I like that animated one. I didn't get him for now, but sometime down the road. And I mentioned the Generation 1 Optimus Prime. I got him. And then there was a couple of Scout classes, which, who nobody cares about those guys for the most part. So that was that. So another strong month of Transformer releases. And of course, the thing that gets me, of course, right? They have the Transformer reveals, they have the G.I. Joe reveals, and of course what happens? You pre-order some Transformers, you pre-order some G.I. Joes, and like 3 or 4 months from now, they all show up at your front door at the same time, and your wife goes, "What'd you order?" I'm like, "Man, I just got some toys, leave me alone." No. But like that's the only thing that kills me. They always do these releases, synchronized, and all the stuff always shows up at your door at the same time. I wish they'd kind of like spread things out a little bit more, but what are you going to do? Anyways, so that's basically, that was most of June. There was a lot of good reveals for G.I. Joe and Transformers. Now let's move on to some more topics, Eric. Still got a list of topics, some juicy, spicy ones coming too. So stay tuned. Make sure you don't leave. So I have a question for you. Social media. And so for me, I basically use Facebook because I'm old, Instagram and Twitter. But they all have different types of they all have different types of purpose for me. And I just want to go over that quickly because you can find the Swish Pop on all those platforms. And you'll find them for different reasons. So for me, the Swish Pop, I just created a Facebook page like a little while ago. So I have to be honest, I haven't really gotten the habit of using it a lot. But you can track us down on Facebook and follow. But there's no details, no information there. So I need to get into using that. But what I do use Facebook for specifically, I don't use it for any personal details. I don't look at pictures of my kids. I don't look at pictures of my friends' kids or whatever. What I use it for and what I'd highly recommend it for. I know people out there don't like using Facebook. It's, the man is watching you type thing. That is whatever. But I like using it for toy groups. And there are so many amazing communities out there of toy groups. You can find a toy group for anything you're into. And there is like one specific for your country. There's one like global one usually. And it is a great ultimate resource, like ridiculous. I've used it exclusively to like really expand my G.I. Joe collection, especially if I need specific parts to vehicles or accessories for characters. It is highly recommended that you jump in to a toy forum group on Facebook, because if you're looking for that specific thing, it will help you immensely. So that's what I use Facebook for. And of course, Marketplace. But for the other two, Twitter and Instagram, they kind of have like different purposes for me. So for Twitter, you can find the Swish Pop on Twitter, and that's me. You'll find the logo and the icon there. And basically, I use Twitter, and that's how I have conversations. So I comment on other people's posts, or I'll make my own posts. I'll advertise my YouTube videos there sometimes, or I'll post an Amazon store link to try to get some clicks or whatever. But basically, Twitter is where I have my conversations. And if you want to talk to me or like post or like message me, that is a great place to do it. I'm pretty active on there. Although I might not post all the time, I read a lot of stuff on Twitter. And so I'm always there. So if you need to reach out, that's a great place to reach out. Then we have Instagram. It's another place I view a lot. I post not as frequently as I should, but basically that is where like I'll post pictures, to highlight my collection, or anything that I've acquired recently, or just something interesting that I might have took a picture of. So that's kind of cool. So that's another place you can follow us on Instagram. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything. But like, I guess, because a lot of people I find possibly use Instagram and Twitter to buy things from people, but I haven't gotten into that groove. I haven't really made that transition to be able to reach out to people and buy things from them, because I don't find those are good social media platforms for that. For me, Facebook is my number one to make sure to get some acquisitions on the go. Anyways, so I just wanted to bring that up. Like, one thing, I do so many G.I. Joe part trades on Facebook. Now, obviously, a lot of them are local, but there's a lot that I do through the mail to other Canadian G.I. Joe collectors. It's a great resource, and I've completed so many vehicle restorations through G.I. Joe part trades, and it's really amazing. So if you have bins of G.I. Joe parts and like you don't have the vehicles, there are people out there, they want those parts because they have the vehicles and they need those parts to complete their vehicle. So if you're sitting on stuff like that, make sure you join a group and, get involved and figure it out. You'll find a local group for sure in your area. And then, if you're not into shipping stuff, you can definitely trade stuff locally. Highly recommend that you join a Facebook toy group. Anyways, so now on to something a little spicier. I'll probably tease it in the title of this month's podcast, but I gotta spend 5 or 10 minutes talking about the Diaper Island drama. And it really annoyed me. Not that people were talking about it. It needed to be talked about. It really annoyed me what he did. And he is a fellow Canadian content producer. He's a Canadian YouTuber that, specializes in G.I. Joe classified stuff. And you know what? So do I. I deal in G.I. Joe classified, G.I. Joe vintage, and Transformer stuff. So I feel like we're in the same space. And I felt like he really did things dirty and like gave us Canadians a bad name. Like, it's really ridiculous. And I just had to spend some time. I didn't do a specific video on it because there was a lot of people covering the situation at that time and had specific details, like what happened to Laser Pants and how he was flagging all his stuff. And that was completely wrong. Completely. Like, the idea that he was flagging when like Laser Pants like would post the copyright strike, you can't flag that. And this system is broken. That the AI systems that are running these things are like, oh yeah, that's totally cool, and we'll take it down. And you've lost your Instagram now, and your social media platform because some person is just being a jerk. And for some reason, Diaper Island, he accumulated a lot of followers. And I do think, while I don't agree with a lot that he was saying, I do find he had some bad information, and he was just kind of throwing a million things at the wall, hoping something stuck, and that he'd be right on things. And he had some fancy graphics and some production value. He did have a high quality production value. I just didn't like his attitude on stuff, and I always kind of had my back up against him. I always had my backup when it came to him, as I just didn't trust him for some reason. And, I think a little bit of that was probably, I was a little jealous of the success he was getting for what he was doing. So, I'll be honest with that. I think a lot of YouTubers are jealous of other YouTubers, and when they're getting success and you're not seeing that same success and you're in the same market. So I'll be honest with that. But it was just the way he portrayed himself. I also really didn't think it was fair that he was able to post the G.I. Joe movie to his channel for a long time and gain all those subscribers from that. I think he gained like 8,000 subscribers or some of that for having the G.I. Joe movie on his channel. And obviously, it finally got copy struck and it was removed from his channel. But if YouTube is going to do that, they need to follow through. And they need to be like, because they have that stat. You can post a video and they'll show you, oh, this many people click subscribe on your channel on this video. So you can be like, I posted a video and you're like, you got 100 subscribers from that video. And that's great. That's how you judge your success on what you're doing. But like, if YouTube has that stat, they're like, he gained 8,000 subscribers because he posted the G.I. Joe full-length movie on his channel, which he was not allowed to do. Like, I think if they removed the video, they should have removed the 8,000 subscribers to his channel as well, as a penalty for doing that. But you know what? The rest of us play by the rules. He decided not to play by the rules, and he got rewarded for it. And that was one of the things that really irked me about the situation. And of course, later on, obviously what he's doing now, where he's copyright striking stuff like that. So like, that's not cool. But yeah, anyways, like, it's just not cool what he's done. He's put a black mark on the G.I. Joe Classified YouTube space. And I really hope people clue in and decide to step away from what he's doing and find some better places to do. There's a lot of great people out there doing G.I. Joe Classified stuff. And you know what? Like, I'll be honest, a lot of times you won't see reviews from me on figures because I get them late or I haven't opened them. And I do feel like there's probably people out there that are doing it better. So I haven't really got into that space, and maybe I'll get into it in the future. But as of right now, I haven't gotten into that space. So there's some really good classified YouTubers out there. If you have any that you want to recommend, feel free to drop them in the comments below, because I'm always looking for fresh content to view myself. Anyways, so I just wanted to take a couple of seconds to talk about that. The whole situation really irked me, and hopefully it starts to get better. I really hope those guys over to 3POA and like Laser Plants get all their stuff worked out, because I don't think they did anything wrong. It was kind of this whole situation where he flipped it and was like, I'm the victim. You did all this stuff, and that was completely wrong. And, you know, if you don't agree with it, leave your contents below in the comments and let me know if you agree with what I'm saying, because I'm curious to see how other people, other viewers feel about his content and what he had done to the other guys in the community. Anyways, moving on to a new topic, and this topic is very interesting as well. This is the Hasbro Pulse San Diego Comic-Con Haslab reveal. What are we getting? Now, this one, I was actually going to do a video on this, but I think I've stopped myself from doing a specific video on it, and I'm going to just talk about this situation here. I am not 100% convinced that we are getting a Cobra Rattler Haslab, and I'm prepared to die on that hill. Now, do I have any inside information? No. Do I just have my gut? Yes. And I was going to do a video on it, like I just mentioned, and I decided not to, because, there's always a chance it could work out that way. I personally don't think they will do it, because even though the Haslab products are crowdfunded, and I don't really know how much Hasbro has to, say, put up for to get it off the ground, I do think Hasbro is a business, and they have to be mindful of their money. I do think a Cobra Rattler would be really expensive, really big. So that's always been my argument. I don't think, people think like Haslab is this like ultimate fan catch-all. They can make anything we want. Because the first couple of Star Wars ones, they had the sail barge was huge, but they've stepped away from that. Like, I personally do not believe we'll ever see like a classified killer whale. Like, that thing would be huge, like ridiculous. I don't know about you, but I don't have any room to store that. Like, where are you displaying that? Next to your huge Hiss tank, next to your huge Stinger, your huge Dragonfly, your huge Vamp. Where are you storing a classified Rattler or a classified killer whale? I don't know where you're storing it because I've ran out of space like years ago. So I don't know where you people are putting this. I'm not really sure. Now, the thing is, it could 100% be a classified rattler. And maybe I'm not against it being a Cobra rattler, but I don't think it will be because of the sheer size and money it would cost to produce that thing. But we don't know. And the reason why I didn't do a video is because as time goes on, as we get closer to San Diego Comic-Con, where they said they were going to make the reveal, things are going to start to leak. And I didn't want to look like an idiot if I did a video saying they're not going to happen. And basically, they came out with it. Because what happened, of course, B-Mac shows up at on one of the streams. And what has he got on? He's got a Cobra shirt on with that Rattler logo, the Air Cobra guys or whatever. And it's that sticker that we all know goes on the Rattler. And of course, the fandom went crazy. Oh my God, Cobra Rattler coming, as has that. Now, is that a hint? It could 100% be a hint. Could it just be that he really likes that Cobra logo and that was his shirt of choice for the stream? 100%. And I was totally prepared to make a video and be like, he just randomly wore that. And then they did the Dragonfly unbox. And halfway through that, they're talking about parachutes. And I think Lenny, he made a faux pas and he made a mistake. And he made a faux pas and he said the word jet with the parachute. And I was like, huh. So he mentioned the word jet. And in my instantly I was like, huh, did he just make a mistake and he reveal that the next Haslab is indeed a jet, which, leads to us that maybe it really is a Cobra Rattler. So I didn't do the video, and basically, this is where we're at. Me personally, I would be interested in Cobra Rattler. I think it's going to be really expensive. I don't know if I want to pay the price for a Cobra Rattler that I think it's going to cost. So I'm really on the fence. Do I think I would prefer something a bit more manageable, like a GIJOE Snowcat, which I've done a couple of videos on? Yes, that's what I would aim for. Get a deluxe Snowcat, make it the size of the Cobra His Tank or a little smaller. Really tweak it out. Make sure you got some really cool figures and some accessories to go with it. I think it would totally work. I think a lot of people in the community want the Cobra Rattler. I am just worried on the sheer size. It's obviously they can get that down to a small box because they got to just take the wings off and fold it in. The wings attached when it comes out of the box. We've seen what they did with the Dragonfly box. So, it is possible to get it down in size for box size. I am just really worried about how big that thing would be if they did release it. So, we'll have to see how it works out. We've only got a couple of weeks left, and I'm sure there's going to be a leak before that because that's how things work. So, what do you guys want? Do you want that Cobra Rattler classified version, or do you want something else to be the Haslab reveal for San Diego Comic-Con? We've only got a few weeks left. We'll find out soon enough. So, that was my 2 cents on the Cobra Rattler Haslab discussion. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about that. So, moving on. The other thing I'd like to talk about quickly, just very quickly, because I've already discussed this, I believe. TFcon 2024, Mississauga or Toronto, whatever you want to call it, is coming up. I'll be there. I go there every year. I've lost track how many years I've been there. Basically, I think this is year 12 or 13. I think I've only missed one during the pandemic, I think. I missed one. And then maybe 2. Maybe it was 1 or 2. I can't remember. Whatever. I don't think they went down. I'm not really sure. When my wife was pregnant with my kid, I still went. She stayed home. I went. It's about a 4-hour trip for me from Ottawa to Toronto. And basically, I love it. It's my number one place where I pick up Transformers. I usually avoid getting many of them at retail, and I get them there. Transformer fans, I think collector fans, are kind of weird. But I've noticed this particular with Transformer fans. Can't remember if I discussed this in particular on a different episode or another video. But Transformer fans will pick up the newest releases of Transformers. Like, for example, let's just say Transformer Legacy United Animated Optimus Prime. They'll buy it full retail. Here in Canada, it's a Voyager class, so it was like $50 or whatever, okay? They'll buy it. They'll keep it for a few months and be like, wow, it's a nice figure. And then they'll sell it used for like $25. I don't know why people do this. Like, it's either you buy it when it comes out because you really wanted it and you want it in your collection and you keep it forever, or at least a few years, and then you sell it maybe when it's worth more. But for some reason, people will buy it, keep it for a month or two, and then because it's not new and you can go get it at retail, they'll sell it for like half price. Do you know how many Transformers I've picked up at TFcon that are brand new and people are selling them for like 50% off? It's great for me. So I learned very quickly that why buy something at retail that, I'm not necessarily 100% sold on when I know there's a really good chance I'll be able to get it at TFcon for a high discount price. So I've done that so many times successfully. But now there's obviously stuff that at retail, I don't want to take that chance. And you're also waiting, after release to get these things. So like that Generation 1 Legacy United Deluxe figure, Optimus Prime, I pre-ordered that the moment it went live on the websites. And I'll pay full price retail for that because I don't want to take the chance I'll miss it. Obviously, if you don't get it at retail, you're taking the chance that you might never get it, or, might have to pay it through the nose for it if you're picking it up later, the late tax, as one would say. So it's a chance I take, so I kind of weigh it. What do I want to pick up at retail that I know I 100% need versus there's figures I would like, but I don't need them to pay the retail price. I'll get them down the road in a trade, hopefully for cheaper, or if the price gets crazy, like Cosmos, Legacy Deluxe Cosmos, the Walmart exclusive. It didn't come to Canada, it was very rare to find in Canada. And of course, people went crazy for it. You couldn't find it in the States. People were selling on eBay for $100, and I'm not paying that for $100. Like, it's just a deluxe figure. So I played the weight game. I go to TFcon. Some guy sold it to me for $30, like cheaper than retail. And it was like one of the hardest figures to find of the Legacy series. And so I had it in my collection. It worked out great for me. That is an example of what I go to these conventions for. And then the other thing, of course, I go to the convention for is that I basically collect Transformers, use Transformers throughout the year, and put them in a trade bin. You must have seen posts that I do about it. And I take that bin to TFcon, and I make sure I trade the shit out of it. And I come home with a bunch of other stuff that, people wanted this stuff, or I'll sell it for like a good price, make some money, take that money and put it back into the TFcon purchases. So, I've done this very successfully. If you've been at TFcon Toronto and you've had a parts party in your room after hours, I've probably been there. You've probably met me. I am what I consider the mobile parts party guy, where I'll bring my bin around to your parts party and try to sell you my stuff, or we'll trade. Like last year or the year before, I can't remember which one it was, I took my stuff around and I ended up trading two things that I didn't want anymore, and I got a G.I. Joe classified Serpentor in the shipper box, and I was so happy. And it totally works out, and I am totally looking forward to TFcon Toronto. You'll see me talk about it a lot on Twitter and on Instagram, and you know what? This is the place where I get a majority of my action figures. They did think, TFcon, to me, it used to be better a few years ago, though. If I had one complaint, is that it's a 2-day event, okay? But what they used to do years ago is the Saturday was Transformers focused, and then the Sunday was 80s focused. And the 80s, 80s includes Transformers, but it also includes stuff like G.I. Joe. So people would kind of like change up what they had on their tables, and they would have Transformers, but they would have G.I. Joe, and they'd have Voltron, and all this other cool stuff. And I like the diversity of that a little bit better because, basically what they've done now is that the 2 days are Transformers focused. And you've got 2 days of Transformer stuff. So you kind of go there on Saturday, you get your fill of Transformer stuff, you kind of wake up the next day if you're out of town or like myself, and you've still only got the same stuff to kind of look at. Where previously, like people used to leave, the vendors used to change out their merchandise, or new vendors who would show up for that second day. I like that a little bit better. And I understand why they did move it to the new format. It's basically supposed to be a Transformer convention, so let's make it Transformer focused. So I get it why they did it. I just like the diversity of it in the other way it was set up because, I collect G.I. Joe. It was a great one-stop shop to get G.I. Joe stuff and Transformer stuff and have a mix of stuff available. But I am super excited. It is, I think, July 15th, 14th, and 15th, I believe. And I'll be there with bells on, and I cannot wait. I'm still getting stuff ready to get to bring that mobile parts party box, and I am super excited. So that is what I'm looking forward to. Now, last topic of the podcast, this episode, we're talking about thrift stores. Now, one thing is I do love the thrill of a hunt, and I go to a bunch of thrift stores during the week because there's one close to my work, one close to the drive home. So I'll often stop, and the only way you win at thrifting is consistency. So you have to go there a lot to make sure, you're not missing anything, because stuff changes at the thrift store daily. And you know what? Like I've posted before, I'm in a rut right now. I haven't really purchased anything. I mentioned earlier, like I picked up the Micro Machines and the Starcom stuff, but that's not for me. That's trade pile stuff. I haven't found any G.I. Joes or Transformers recently. And like, I'll go like, I'm probably, 20 or 30 visits without buying anything. And then you'll hit something. But consistency is the way you win. The only thing I do have a problem lately. So the big one here in Canada is Value Village, and I've done posts on that before. That's where I get a majority of my thrift store stuff. And one thing I'm finding, the prices are going up, and I don't like how inconsistent the prices are from store to store. Because I think, say, here where I am, there's like 5 Value Villages in this area. It's a city of 1 million people. So there's a lot of Value Villages around, so there's different places to go, different areas, you get different stuff. Basically, like each store, when they get their stuff in, they, individually price it. And I do think Value Village is a weird place, okay? I'm not sure if you're not familiar with Value Village, it's a thrift store. They take donations. And they kind of like hide under this guise of like, people give them donations, but I think probably, I would say if you polled people, I would say 90% of people think they're donating to some charity, but they're not. Value Village is 100% pure profit organization, for-profit organization. And like, you're donating your stuff. Like, hey, here's a box of Generation 1 Transformers that my son had, and it's been in the attic, and I don't want it anymore. Here you go. They take it. They give you a coupon, hey, get a discount at the store, but they're taking it for free. And then they turn around. A lot of people, what's happening is that it goes in the sorting back room, and they're like, Generation Optimus Prime, Generation 1 Optimus Prime. Let me just check on eBay and see how much this goes for. And they check it out, and they're like, oh, this goes for like $30 or whatever, right? And they're like, okay, guys, put it on the shelf, $15.99. I'm just making up prices. And then that one is on the shelf for $15.99. And you go to another Value Village, and oh, look, they have a Generation 1 Optimus Prime on their shelf, their wall as well. And that one's $3.99 because they didn't care that it was valuable. They got it as a donation. They just put it out at a standard price. But a lot of the Value Villages are starting to look up stuff. And I noticed this with like Lego. Now, I don't buy used Lego as a rule. Now, sometimes you do buy it because a lot of times stuff gets trapped in Lego boxes and bags. You'll find G.I. Joe stuff in there. But as a rule, that doesn't happen. But what I noticed was, just say like there's 3 Value Villages in your city. You know, they put out these big bags of used Lego. Some of it's super vintage, some of it's new, but it's just random Lego parts. And one Value Village will have it for $9.99. Another Value Village will have the same bag type size for $14.99. Another one might have it for $19.99. I even seen one. They had the same type of bag, the same size, and they were selling it for $34.99. But wait a second, I can go to Walmart and buy a complete box of Lego for $34.99. Why would I want to buy this used bag of Lego for $34.99? And I do think these thrift stores like Value Village, specifically, because that's what I'm familiar with. There's other ones around, of course. They need to get back into standard pricing. Hey, if somebody brings in an action figure and you put 3 action figures in a bag, $3.99, $6.99. If somebody brings in something and it's broken, and I'm sorry, of course these people in the sorting room aren't experts. They don't know every toy line. But guess what? I'm pretty sure they're familiar with human anatomy. So if somebody brings in an action figure or a transformer, which is basically a humanoid for a lot of them, and let's go with the action figure, and it doesn't have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, you can't charge full price for that. Be smart about it, people. That stuff's going to warm on the pegs forever. You know what? If you got a transformer, it doesn't have a leg or it doesn't have a head, you don't have to be an expert. You can look at it quickly to determine that it does not fully complete. It is not fully complete. Those things should be sold at a discount, not full price. You can't charge your Optimus Prime without a head for $20. Nobody's buying it. Anyways, and it really frustrates me because I've seen that a lot lately. The prices are going up and it's not even for complete stuff and when I say complete, I don't ever expect there to be accessories or a weapon or a shield or extra pieces like that. I'm just talking the body, the shell. That's what you expect. So that's just, it's a pet peeve of mine. I've noticed it's increasing. I guess it's the sign of the times with inflation everywhere. But I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. I'll see how it continues. Like I said, I'm in a rut lately. I haven't found much stuff. Hopefully people continue with the late spring cleaning, the garage sale leftovers, and get some Transformers and G.I. Joes brought to their local Value Village. Anyways. So that's the podcast for this month. You know what? If you can, check out the Amazon links in the description below as well. I'm really looking for some feedback on what we're doing here. So please, please, please provide some comments. Would you rather see my face on camera? Do you want to see pop-ups when the podcast is happening? Do you want to see maybe gameplay of a few games or anything? Anyway, something to watch. Let me know. Provide the feedback. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.